Welcome to the Earth Chronicles. Tonight's presentation is on the coronavirus. The coronavirus is spreading across the world. There are over 100,000 cases and approximately 3,500 deaths. It is a very fluid situation, and the numbers change by the hour. The virus began in China, where over 80,000 cases have occurred, with more than 3,000 deaths. However, the number of new cases has dropped to 40 new cases from 44 the day before. Of importance is that almost 60,000 people have recovered from the disease. This is the good news. The virus was first detected in Wuhan, China, and is believed to infect animals, which transfer the virus to humans in close contact with the animals. It is believed, but not certain, that Wuhan's open markets for wild game, including bats and snakes, may have been the source of the virus. Since the outbreak, the markets have been shut down. As of March 9th, Italy has seen cases surge to 9,000, with 463 confirmed dead. The authorities have locked down the entire country. All schools and universities are closed for 1 month. No one can leave or enter the area without special permission. Weddings and funerals are canceled. Restaurants and cafes can stay open until 6 p.m., but they must enforce a 1-meter distance between customers. Schools, museums, movie theaters, and other events that put people in close quarters are being canceled as the virus spreads fast in a dense population. Scores of people snuck out the night before the lockdown, which means there may be thousands of infected people moving about in other parts of Europe. In France, cases rose from 100 on the last day of February to 653 a week later, for a 550% increase. Germany showed a 750% increase in the same week. South Korea has reported 6,000 cases of the virus, including more than 35 deaths. However, there are a couple of caveats here, both of which are good, and they both show the importance of testing for the virus. South Korea has tested more than 140,000 people. The death rate is 6,000 divided by 35, or 0.58. This shows that an increasing number of people tested tends to lower the death rate. For example, say there are 100 cases of the virus in country X, with 2 reported deaths. 2 divided by 100 cases gives a 2% death rate. Now double the number of cases because of increased testing, and we find 200 cases with 2 people dead. The death rate is 2 divided by 200, or a 1% death rate. So the numbers can be misleading. Often, the most important number is not mentioned. As of today, the number of new cases is lower than the number of recovered cases. In the United States, there are more than 600 confirmed cases with 26 deaths. This gives a mortality rate of 26 divided by 600, or 4%, which is a very high number. However, to date, the United States has only tested 2,000 people, while South Korea has tested 140,000 people. We will address this situation further below. The more individuals that are tested, the larger the number of confirmed cases will grow, which will bring down the death rate, once again showing the importance of testing. The more people that are tested, the more positive cases are known and can be used to track down contacts with the confirmed cases. This will facilitate the ability to quarantine more people to contain the spread of the virus. Now the question is, why was South Korea able to test 140,000 individuals while the United States only tested 2,000 during the same time period? Obviously, South Korea had the test kits ready for deployment, and the U.S. did not. Some reports say there was a glitch in the test kits and they were recalled, and this caused the slow-up. Next, the protocols that the CDC has on performing the test was not thought out very well. President Trump stated that anyone who wanted a test could have a test. Yet Vice President Pence said that CDC protocols had to be followed for the test.
That needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests. And the tests are beautiful.
Vice President Pence was later forced to clarify.
If you have reason to believe that you have been exposed to the coronavirus, I have every confidence that your physician would contact state health officials and have access to the state lab.
An investigation published by The Atlantic on Friday found only about 1,900 people had been tested for the virus nationwide. Federal officials promised to ship 1.5 million test kits by the end of the week, but fell short of that number. Then there's the issue of testing capacity.
The CDC puts out guidance. Anyone who wants a test, come and get a test. Tell your doctor you want a test. Vice President Pence says, oh, we can't do the tests. That's the disconnect.
Don't tell us things that are not true.
I'm not happy about the lack of the appropriate number of test kits, that's for sure. But other areas of the response, I think, are going well.
Get a test now.
The fact is the tests are out there. There was a misstep early on with regard to the test, namely a technical difficulty. But right now, about 1.1 million tests are out there now. There'll be an additional about 640,000 on, let's say, Monday, and then at least another 4 million, particularly now that we're engaging the private sector. Now, when you say that, they're out there. If you go to a doctor, it's up to the doctor to order the test. And if that happens, a person should have a test available. But it's no doubt, Chris, you have to be realistic. Early on, there was some missteps that delayed it.
I want to pick up on that, Doctor, and the question of testing. I want to put some numbers on the screen. As of Thursday, the CDC had tested only 1,583 people. In California, only 516 tests. Meanwhile, in South Korea, more than 66,000 people were tested within a week of the first case of community transmission, and they can now test 10,000 people a day. Why are we so far behind?
You know, I think, it gets back to what I said in the beginning, that the CDC made a test. There was a technical glitch there. The CDC provides tests for the public health groups in the state and local. What we really need to do now, which were the numbers that I mentioned to you, is to get the private sector involved so that you could literally flood it with millions and millions of tests. That is happening now. But in fact, the American people need to realize that in the beginning, there was a glitch, and we need to overcome that now.
One lady was in the hospital for 3 days before she got tested, and she tested positive. This meant that the healthcare professionals who treated her were exposed to the virus for those 3 days. Now, all those individuals need to be tested and/or quarantined. The CDC has shipped more kits, and more will be coming this week and next. They are hoping to have 2 million kits spread across the U.S. this week. Nonetheless, there was a screw-up. Quote, there was a clear lack of foresight, an epidemiologist at the Yale School of Public Health stated. Quote, we are very slow to roll out testing capacity to individual places. Wherever that came from, it was a very bad strategy. End of quote. It came from the CDC. Can things get as bad as they are in Italy? Yes, they can. On Sunday, the leading U.S. expert on infectious diseases, Dr. Anthony S. Fauci, said that it was possible that regional lockdowns could become necessary and recommended that those at greatest risk, the elderly and those with underlying health conditions, abstain from travel and exposure to crowds and dense populations.
You know, you don't want to alarm people, but given the spread we've seen, anything is possible. And that's the reason why we've got to be prepared to take whatever action is appropriate to contain and mitigate the outbreak.
Washington State, New York, California, and Oregon have declared emergencies. Schools are shutting down across the country, which disrupts businesses if parents have to stay home from work. If large gatherings of people need to be canceled, it will be a blow to the economy. China makes all kinds of parts for all kinds of stuff, from toys to cars to electronics. Their business has been shut down for weeks. The supply chain disruption will affect the world economy. Central banks are starting to lower rates to help stop the bleeding. Stock markets around the world have been selling off for weeks, and looking at the overseas markets, it looks like a big down day for the U.S. on Monday, March 9th. Nevertheless, there is good news. 80% of the people who get the virus will have mild cases. They will not require hospitalization. If they test positive, they should self-quarantine at home and try to stay away from other family members, especially the elderly. They should wash their hands several times a day, and/or they can use an alcohol-based sanitizer. Stay away from other family members and do not share dishes, utensils, etc. Try to stay 6 feet away from other people. It is a good idea to clean all doorknobs, countertops, sinks, and toilets with sanitizer and/or bleach. The disease is transmitted through water droplets that an infected person spreads when they sneeze, cough, or while talking to another person. It appears that the virus can last several hours on various surfaces and can spread with contact. If you are sick, you should wear a mask to prevent the germs from spreading through the air from your mouth or nose when you cough or sneeze.
The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow, or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
To repeat, 80% of those individuals who get the virus will not become seriously ill. Some may not even get any symptoms. They will not require hospitalization. The story is different for the other 20%. The elderly and those individuals that have pre-existing health problems such as lung disease, heart disease, diabetes, and any type of immune deficiency are at high risk. If you come down with a high fever, with a dry cough, and difficulty breathing, call your doctor immediately to get tested or go straight to the emergency room at the nearest hospital. You can buy an Oximeter at a good pharmacy for between $25 and $50. It's a little clip that goes on the end of your finger, and it measures the oxygen saturation of your blood. Normal, healthy individuals have a reading of 98 to 99%. Oxygen readings that dip to 94 to 95 should be reported to your doctor as the virus is a lower respiratory infection that affects the lungs. Obviously, elder people with health problems are at high risk. There is no need to panic, but it remains prudent to keep abreast of the latest information and to listen to the experts such as Dr. Fauci. Much information can be found on the CDC website, and remember, this too shall come to pass.